nice acts. So Vishwanath sir is the one best example for this. Sir, thank you very much. And you inspire all of us. ಈಗ ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಗೌರವ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಶ್ರೀ ನಾಗರಾಜ್ ಸರ್ ಹಾಗೂ ರೋಹಿತ್ ಸರ್ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸರ್ ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿರ್ತೀರೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೈರಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Can we have a big round of applause, youngsters? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And of course, Tara ma'am has arrived, who is an inspiration for many youngsters. I also would like to remember and recall Mahatma Gandhi ji says, नारी किसी काम को सही भावना से करती है तो वो पहाड़ को भी हिला देती है. So madam is the one best example. She is a versatile administrator. Her contribution to urban authority area and development towards urban area is amazing. Can we have a big round of applause? If you feel she is your role model, then we should have a very big round of applause. Ma'am, your presence made this event a successful. You are inspiration for many youngsters, many young girls, many young boys. Thank you, ma'am. And now I request Professor Dr. P.S.N. Rao sir to address the gathering.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Respected Tara ma'am, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, other dignitaries on the dais, and my dear students. This event, Samatolana, is really a very heartening event, coming up on the eve of Ugadi, our New Year. So I would like to firstly congratulate this institution, NITI, for having taken up this NOSPLAN convention this year. We are fast moving towards the silver jubilee of NOSPLAN. The first time I distinctly recall when we started the bachelor's degree in planning at SP in New Delhi, there were a lot of apprehensions as to where would this profession go, because in the good olden days, we were perhaps the first who started the postgraduate program in planning, and whoever came for these courses, they essentially came either from architecture background or from civil engineering background. And very few people came from geography or from economics. But after some time, it was felt that planning now is a profession which needs to stand on its own. And therefore, the Bachelor of Planning program was initiated. And very recently, we celebrated 3 decades of Bachelor of Planning course as well. And today, when you look back and when you see about modern contemporary planning in our country, you find that, as has been said, planning is a very old subject. Any event, anything, any large scale activity needs to be planned. So planning is actually something very, very general in nature. But here, when we are talking about human settlements, we are talking about something very different. We are talking about people, we are talking about land, we are talking about natural resources. We are also talking about funds to put all these together in order to conduct our daily lives. So what is the purpose of a city? Why do we need a human settlement? For people to live, work, play, and conduct our lives. So planning today has become a very complex area. As has been said by Vishwanath ji just now, there have been many traditions of planning in this country. There have been many rules and regulations, codes in the ancient texts, but one of the most important things was the regulation. People had to strictly follow the rules and regulations, and if you were to violate, then you would be punished. So therefore, whether it was the mohallas or the agraharas or whatever in different parts of the country, there were strict codes and people followed the rules and regulations. Whether it was the maintenance of the tanks, for instance, as was just now mentioned. I think today we are losing respect for all of these, and therefore while we have all these on paper, we are good at preparing the plans but not so good at actually implementing the plans. The essential difference between architecture and planning is that most of the time as architects, we are planning for private spaces. There are very few public buildings, but majority of the time we are only looking at private spaces. Whereas in the case of town planning, we are essentially talking about only public spaces. We are not really talking about private spaces. So when we are talking about planning for public spaces, or the commons as it is called, the participation, the cooperation of each and every citizen in the country, in the city, is very, very important. So therefore, planning is much, much more challenging as compared to architecture, where there is an individual who is in control. Generally in a city, there is nobody in control because there are so many people who are either dirtying the city or spoiling the city or doing whatever, demolishing things and so on and so forth. So it's a very big challenge, and regulation I think is extremely important. You can plan very beautifully in your documents, you can implement very beautifully on the ground, but then every day your city needs to be maintained. Every day the streets have to be cleaned. Every day you have to ensure that the lakes are not spoiled. Every day the garbage has to be taken out. So there are a very large number of people who are all involved, and quite often it is the planners who are at the receiving end, saying that if there is as was just now said, if there is a fellow selling something on the footpath, then the planner is blamed. So therefore there are many stakeholders involved, and this is a challenge. Planning today has come to the spotlight. Very recently we heard our Honorable Finance Minister talking about planning, and today more than ever before, as Indian cities are growing, India has crossed the 30% urbanization limit, and we are looking at cities as the engines of national development. They are the contributors of GDP in a very big way. So a lot of focus is now squarely there on planning. Even the Niti Aayog very recently in its report has mentioned that there are many issues in the planning sector in this country, and these need to be addressed. I was fortunate to be a part of this committee. So several new steps are being initiated in order to streamline the planning exercise in the country at the local level, at the state level, at the central level. Madam Tara is also here. She is also very much a part of the driving force behind this reform movement that has been initiated by this government. And I see a very bright future. Some time ago, when we organized this NOS plan at Delhi, Punaruthan was the theme. So indeed, there is a Punaruthan that has been initiated, a rejuvenation of the planning profession, and now with Samatolana, I think we are all in it. It's very nice to see, heartening to see. I think more than 500 delegates, students from across the country, from various 30-odd planning colleges have all come together. So please don't be disheartened. There are plenty of issues which you are quite familiar with. I don't have to list them out. So whether it is lack of adequate planners in the country, or planning jobs not being paid properly, etc., etc., recruitment rules not being favorable to planners. So all these things I think are all being attended to, and I am sure that in the days to come, planning profession will again see a period of glory. So with these few words, thank you all for having me here and giving me this opportunity to share my views. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As I said, of course, most of our youngsters are friends. They're very enthused to take part and planning and be part of it, but they all need a guidance and to say which is right, which is not right, and when to execute. Planning is, as you said, like it's going on since long, but when to execute. So today, I'm very privileged and honored to say all our dignitaries and all our leaders are here who are here to guide us. Isn't it, youngsters? Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So now, on behalf of our Nita Institute and Samatolana, I request you to consider a small honor. I request Rohit sir and Agra sir to do felicitation. Thank you, sir. And I said, our guest of honor, Srimati D. Tara, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. Ma'am, since long, everyone's eyes are looking at you. They were awaiting for you to hear from you. So do let us know how to plan, how to dream, and how to make our society and our country better. We'd like to hear from you. A big round of applause before Tara ma'am arrives here, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning to everybody. I think they are making you clap and wake you up every time. From morning you must be listening to so many lectures. You must be wondering, "Ye kya hai? Bole ja, bole ja." When your student colleagues came and invited my colleague Srinivas, he told, "Ma'am, please come. This is students' gathering." So actually that was the motivation behind coming here. You are the motivation to come from Delhi. I think a lot has been said on the problem front. But I just want to tell you something. If you want to find a place in a country's ecosystem of policy making or governance, there are two ways. One is, earlier it was rule-based governance. So to implement rules which are in place, there used to be these civil service exams. You get in through that, you become part of the system. And then you become these officers, as I had done, like step by step. But there's something called role-based governance. That means, according to your capability, you bring on to the country's policy, public policy space, what you know and what that makes you relevant. I think we are slowly going from this rule-based governance to role-based governance. First of all, you have to understand the niche you are in. See, it's not going to be easy for you to enter a system and just make yourself, just because you have done planning, you will not become relevant. And you cannot blame that all this is bureaucracy, this thing and that thing. If there are 3 people in a room in a hostel who are friends, getting the 4th one is such a difficult thing. So it applies equally to any tight-knit system. Understood? But then there are beautiful ways to breach it and make your space. And that is the beauty of India in transition. It is allowing that to take place at this moment. And you are at the right opportune moment. How do you become planners who are relevant? For that you need to also go back. Some of the seniors have to unlearn and relearn. Some of us find planning as something which you take a paper, draw lines and say, this is what I want. Or maybe nowadays it's not the paper, it is the computer 3D walkthroughs which you make. But you know what planning can do is a planner can be as big as an industrialist who provides livelihood to people and gives salary to people. A planner, if he is intelligent enough and connect to the ground, can create wealth. Do we ever look at ourselves as wealth creators? We think that we know how to plan. Think from the perspective of a citizen. You are planning for his land. You are planning with his resource. An architect does a planning on payment within a small resource boundary. That is a more intense engagement. You are planning at two levels. One is zoning, another is bylaws. Now these two are the ones which form a city. So there could be any way you can call. And now how do you do that? I am just speaking from my experience. I may be wrong, I may be right. But what I can tell you is, if you go to Ahmedabad, Bangalore is a city with a high GDP. Ahmedabad doesn't have that kind of money. But if you go to Ahmedabad, how many of you have gone to Ahmedabad? Who are not from Ahmedabad? Yeah. Do you think the city looks poor and impoverished? But they don't have economic activity of that level as Bangalore. But it looks equally good. If not better, why? Single reason being planning. And how does that work? I'll tell you how it works. There is one organization called Urban Development Authority, Ahmedabad Urban Development Authority. It has a credibility. If that organization, it's not the officer there, it's an organization. What is that organization? It's an aggregation of planners who have worked there for several years, who created that reputation under the leadership of a certain amount of finance commitments and managerial commitments. But the core competence which evolved in that organization is the planning. Of course, they also had the same problems. If you see the second development plan, revised development plan, there's no zoning specifications. We only specify what cannot be done in a particular zone. These two cannot happen in that zone by Baki, everything can happen. Where there is no heritage problem. If there is a heritage, then what we do is we list out that heritage. We say, bring in the concept of tradable development rights. You must have heard transferable development rights, where FSI of one place gets transferred to other place. But we brought in the concept of tradable development rights. This is original thinking. We said, if somebody, these are the heritage properties listed, these are the owners. If they preserve that heritage property, 50% of that FSI is given as a certificate for him to trade in the market. Now, who will buy it? We have to create a market, right? So we said base FIR is 1.8. Anything above that which we attribute is buyable at 40% of the land price. Now, 40%, if you give it to a private fellow, he will trade it for 20 or 30%, make his money. So the heritage property fellows got the tradable development rights, and we declared transit corridors on either side 200 meters as TOD zones, and there the FIR went up to Buck 4. And we said we'll sell, make money, and use that money for putting in infrastructure. That is why I said you are wealth creators. But you cannot give FIR everywhere, wherever the pressure comes from, or wherever you feel you are happy with that person. You need to make it a more disciplined, organized way of doing it. Another thing which we did is, see, if you construct, we wanted to urbanize some land. Now you have all high-end flats everywhere, right? A lot of stock is available because that was a time when we were doing, a lot of high-end stock was available. But affordable housing was missing. Affordable housing means 3 lakh में घर मिलेगा तो affordable housing है, 5 lakh में घर मिलेगा तो affordable housing है. Because any poor person even today pays not less than 3,500 rupees as rent. I'm sure you all must be knowing that. When you are a planner, you should know these things. And when he can use it as that installment, monthly installment, that is when he can own a home. Matching that economics, if your land, and that is on pure transit corridor, on the biggest road of your city or a ring road of your city, we said it is a conditional zoning transition. If you build 350 houses per hectare of up to 60 square meters or 80 square meters, we will give you zone transition. Otherwise, no, it will be agriculture. This led to a situation where around 50,000 houses got provided wherever. Again, the market will not react everywhere. Wherever there is requirement and wherever such people will settle, the market will decide. You just need to provide that little this thing. So then, today Ahmedabad has 1.58 lakh houses which have come up in the last 6 years because of this policy across the city. At 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs, which we wouldn't have been able to do anything. इतना घर बांधने के लिए government cannot give subsidies, right? 5-6 lakh. Private sector played up. Government built 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 houses, but private sector played to the. What was the simple thing you did? You just looked at your policy and said, okay, let's come up with this policy. The second thing is very important is you need to test whether high densities will work. If it has to work, what is that which has to happen? If you have to see, all your central Bangalore will have less than one FSI used, right? The old city part, right? That can be redeveloped. You give high FSI, but at the same time appropriate some areas roads. Use the FSI, let them get the FSI, but some area has to be apportioned as roads into this thing. As this happens through 10-15 years, you will have density of roads. In Bangalore, if anything is, it's such a beautiful city. All of you come to Bangalore, it has its own USP of being the most, vibrant, happening city for youngsters. But this one problem, that is, you spend half your day in the car or the vehicle. So, all this could be attended if you think of minimizing trips, ensuring that the poor people live near the transit corridors, and you give world-class public spaces. So these are some things which I wanted to tell you. And I think planners are wealth creators, planners are egalitarian creators, planners are social housing opportunity creators, planners are people who can bring people to the transit nodes. Planners are not people who are planning and regulating. They are developers, development specialists. So if the perceptions changes from I do planning, I know it, to what is required to people, whether I'm creating that wealth for them, do they understand what my role is? If you give a road, a person's plot appreciates by 3-4 times overnight, right? Overnight. And then the thing is, then when I do that, when I'm parting with that kind of money to him, because he was selling his plot at 100 rupees per square meter, now he's selling at 500 rupees, that 400 rupees he should share with the government also. He may keep 300, he may part with 100 to the government. And government should also pay him for what the land is parting. If you net off it, the government will get some money, that money can be put as infrastructure grant. So I can tell you, this is the way 80% equivalent of tax money of Ahmedabad comes into city of Ahmedabad by selling FAR, which is densifying the city, at the same time creating a less carbon footprint. Another innovative thing you should think of is every city will have very, very rich people. They won't stay in small apartments, right? They won't. They will stay in farmhouses. So put in a zone which has only very low FAR. But remember, if you allow them to stay, anyway, if you don't allow them, they'll go out of the city. But if you allow them to stay in 30-40 square kilometers of the city, they will create the green lung of city without you spending money. Have you ever thought about it? So you should think of such things. Who are the people? What do they do? And how does that behavior affect? See, the Ahmedabad has R3 zone. If you go on site and read. This R3 zone is very interesting. It gives only 0.3 FAR. But all the rich people have the farmhouses there and they're part of the city. Farmhouses means 2-3 acres, maybe not 10-50 acres and all, but 2-3 acres, your plots are. So then what happens? Then these people will grow trees. When they grow trees, what happens? If you see the temporal images of Ahmedabad of R3 zone, which is only 38 square kilometers, you will see that they have greenery has increased since the zoning started to now it is a thick green, lush green area. So I think these are the lessons you'll have to learn. You didn't plant trees. You only planned it as a low density zone for rich people to come and put up their dwellings there. You didn't give subsidy to poor people, but you only made your laws good, that bhaiya aap ye karoge to, and what we also did is when we sell at 40% for extra FSI for other dwellings, we are giving in affordable housing up to 60 square meters, we give it at 20% or 10% if it is 30 square meters. Automatically the cost is also taken care of. I think these are some of the things which we have practiced, done, realized on field. That's why I wanted to share it with you. I don't know how much of it is, and don't become very tight-knitted. घर में झगड़ा होता है, mother father strict है तो अपना regulation strict नहीं बनाने का, development oriented बनाने का. You have to understand that. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. for making us to realize what planning is and how a planner to be. A dynamic profession that works to improve the welfare of the people and their communities by creating more convenient, healthy, efficient, sustainable, and attractive places for the present and future generation. Never ever forget, we should not think of present, we also should think of future as well.
One point. Sorry, I wanted to say some point. See, when you plan, usually you tend to take a plain paper and start. From now on, please take a Google map and mark the trees and water bodies and start.
Could say like Vriksho Rakshati Rakshitaha. We should protect the environment and environment will protect us. Thank you very much, ma'am. So I request to receive our honor. So Tara ma'am, and so thanks to Tara ma'am. I request Gayatri ma'am, please do the honors. A big round of applause. Youngsters, come on. Keep up this energy. And ma'am's contribution to Ahmedabad urban development is a huge and amazing. So, thank you, ma'am. Your presence made this day a very special. Thank you once again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, North Plan Convention is all ready to open 2022. Are you all excited? So I request General Secretary of North Plan, Udit Narayan, to announce North Plan Convention all set to open.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning to the respected dais. Honorable Chief Guest for the day, Chairman of Bangalore Development Authority, Sri H.R. Viswanathji, Guest of Honor, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, Srimati T. Tharaji. Honorable Chancellor, Central University of Karnataka, N.R. Shetty, and our special guests who have graced this occasion, our Director, School of Planning and Architecture, Professor Dr. P.S.N. Raoji, Secretary General of ITPI, Sri Pradeep Kapoorji, and special invites without whose support this convention would not have been possible. The Administrator of Nitya University, Sri Rohit Punjaji, Principal NMIT and Senate Member VTU, Dr. H.C. Nagarajji, and our constant guiding force, Head of Metropolitan and Union Territories Division, Sri R. Srinivasji. Last but not the least, without whose motivation and conviction this day would not have come, the Executive Council of the North Plan, headed by our President, Mr. Abhishek Liugji. And yes, a big warm welcome to all the delegates present here from different parts of the great land Bharat. So North Plan is an organization dedicated to the developing community of planning students in becoming a better planning professionals of tomorrow. It is a platform for interaction between planning students and entire planning fraternity at large. In order to achieve its objectives, North Plan organization conducts different activities. Apart from the convention, the North Plan organization consists of about 20 plus member colleges and more than 2,000 active members. North Plan organizes various activities like webinars, workshops, expert lectures, and discussions. And we are also organizing this year's convention at Nitya University, Bengaluru. So, studying the negativities of the lockdown and the devastating COVID-19 pandemic, on this eve of Ugadi, which marks the start of Hindu New Year, that is Chaitra Shukla Pratipada, North Plan organization, after its online convention last year at School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi, is hosting this year's offline convention at Nitya University, Bengaluru, with the theme of Samatulan or balance. After the challenging period of COVID-19, built the case for sustainability in different countries like India, and this convention provides an opportunity for future planners to build a way for India at the rate 2050, with half of the India's population living in urban centers. Over the next 3 days, we are going to organize 18 different events under 4 trophies that are Planning Trophy, Publication Trophy, Gaming Trophy, and Entertainment Trophy. We thank the constant support for our collaboration to ITPI, TCPO, NIUA, HUDCO, TERI, Planning Insights, Planning Times, and Isaac. Once again, I take this opportunity to welcome our guests, judges, collaborators, and our delegates to this 23rd Annual Nostran Convention 2021-2022, and wish the planners best for upcoming 3 days of learning, networking, and enjoyment. Thank you, everyone. Best of luck.
Thank you, Udit. So you guys know what are the categories and what are the events and what kind of arts and recognition is going to happen. So all set? Yes. Still we should have some energy. All set? Yes. That's the spirit. So thank you once again, Udit. And now I would like to call upon Sri Pradeep Kapoor sir, Secretary General ITPI. Institute of Town Planner established which is in 1951 and it is committed to promote planned, economic, scientific, artistic development of towns, cities, rural areas. Sir, I request you to address the gathering.
Am I disturbing the we can go.
Good morning, friends, all the guests on the dais. I'm Secretary General, Institute of Town Planners India, which was established in 1951 to provide a platform to professional planners. And today, we have more than 7,000 qualified planners. ITPI, in collaboration with Town and Country Planning Board in AICTE, prepared curriculum for M-Plan and B-Plan. And with the efforts of ITPI, B-Plan courses were started in India, though it was very late. Initially, we had only the masters in planning, and we have privileged the chairman of Town and Country Planning Board, Professor Rao. He is with us. ITPI is the forum to promote planning profession and education. We have 24 regional chapters across the country. Almost in every state, we have our regional chapter, and the state capitals are headquarters of the regional chapters. So far, if we see the achievements of this forum, though we are not a statutory body, it's a professional body created by professionals to watch the interest of professional planners and also to promote this profession across the country. In education, we prescribe the curriculum, and then the new schools intend to start planning courses. We help them out, we approve their courses, and once the approval is granted by ITPI, their students who pass out from those institutions, they can become member of ITPI as associate members, because they get the advantage of that. In most of the states, it's a mandatory to have the associate membership of ITPI to apply for the posts of assistant planners in various states. ITPI organizes various conferences. These days, we are organizing webinars because of pandemic. And every year, national conference is organized. This year, we are going to organize from 15th to 17th of April in Bhopal. The local state town and country planning department requested ITPI to organize in Bhopal. ITPI has also launched the Best Thesis Award for Masters in Planning from all the schools which are recognized by ITPI. We receive entries from the schools and a jury is constituted to judge the best 3 theses out of those entries. And this year we have completed that exercise, and V.N. Prasad National Best Thesis Award for 2021 is going to be announced in the National Conference of ITPI in Bhopal on 15th of April. Similarly, we have started the National Best Thesis Award for undergraduate students also, and in that we give away 2 prizes, first prize and second prize, and all the prizes are comprised of the cash prize and certificate of merit given by ITPI. I'm happy to share with you when we were discussing with your office bearers about organizing the NOS plan. We were told that few years back it was in bad shape. There were certain issues which were to be addressed and which required some finances also. Abhishek was regularly after me to resolve that issue. I requested ITPI chartered accountant because there were some penalties were imposed by income tax department on NOS plan accounts. So we, with the help of our CA, we resolved that issue, and I hope the things are in better shape now. I'm happy to see the large number of participants from various schools. And when we were discussing, we thought that it should be more formalized. Instead of student-based membership, we should have the school-based membership. Every school should become member of NOS plan, and they should contribute on the basis of each student. And recently, the number has increased. The recognized schools, 30 schools are finally approved, and 32 schools are there which have been provisionally approved by ITPI, and we are in the process of inspection of those schools to accord them final approval. So I foresee that in the years to come, your number will be increased almost 2 times. So be prepared to host more than 1,000 students in each NOS plan. Because you see, the government has said that large number of planners are required in the country. Our production is not more than 15 to 1800 every year, whereas our requirement is much more than that. So we have to encourage schools, universities, institutions to start planning course. Even the Niti Aayog, they have said that every central university should start Department of Town Planning in their universities. Similarly, NITs also have been directed that they should start planning courses. But I have a point in that. Before you start more and more colleges to start planning schools, we should ensure that the job opportunities are available for planners. I see in Jharkhand, there was an advertisement for some 45 odd posts, and more than 500 applications were received, though some of them were not qualified planners, but still a good number of planners were available to get that job. So there's some gap. The reason is, I tell you very frankly, I worked with the state of Rajasthan almost for 37 years in various capacities. I was advisor to the government for 2 years after my retirement from the post of Chief Town Planner. And you will be surprised that 80% of politicians, they don't differentiate between architect or planner. It's unfortunate. And when we talk to them that the planning post should be only for the qualified planners, they say that what is the difference between architect and planner? Same is the case for the bureaucrats. More than 40% of bureaucrats, they have the same perception about planning. This is unfortunate. And in most of the states, the posts of planners are filled by architects. I'm sorry to say that many of you are architects, but if a planner cannot practice architecture, why the architect should practice planning? It's very simple. So we are trying hard. In many states, the recruitment rules have been amended, and now we see that with the direction of the Planning Commission and further action plan being prepared by Ministry, and Srinivas is here, he will be giving you more details. I hope that the day will come when the posts of planners will be filled by only the qualified planners. So let's hope for that. Another thing I wanted to share with you, that all is not planning. Job opportunities are not only in government sector, because government is also encouraging the private sector to take up the planning works. So you have enough opportunities in private sector also, and there they employ the quality. In government, you know, the quality doesn't matter much as compared to the private sector. So we hope that even lot of job opportunities are going to come in the private sector also. I wanted to share one more information. The Niti Aayog, when we were also member in that committee as ITPI, and they have suggested that we should have a platform where the digital creation of national digital platform of town and country planners. The ITPI has already started working on it, and we have requested all the planning schools recognized by ITPI, I mean 62 of them, we have requested all the schools to send us the data of all the students, yearly data of all the students which you intake, and those who are passing out either as masters in planning or bachelors in planning. That will be uploaded on ITPI website, which will facilitate, because every day we receive calls from various companies that suggest us where the transport planners are available, where the planners specialized in housing, they are available. So we want to build that data on ITPI website, which will be accessible to all private sector players, and directly they can contact you and the job opportunities can be created. For students, they can directly also upload their data. Once you are in the final year, you can upload your data on ITPI website, giving your specialization, your addresses, your contact numbers, and your specialization, and what is your thesis topic. Because any employer, they go through all these parameters when they employ a fresh planner. So that ready data will be available to potential employers, and that will be the win-win situation for students and employers both. So we have already initiated this recommendation given by the Niti Aayog. I hope, because during those discussions in the meeting, Professor Rao must be knowing that they were not getting the exact data of planners, that how many planners are being produced, how many are working, how many are available for employment. So we want to create that data, and we have already started. You can go on our ITPI website and upload. Those who are going to complete their planning course this year, they can upload their data on ITPI website. Now I'm coming on Samatolana, if I'm pronouncing it right. I personally feel this is like equity. What Madam Tara was saying, I was nodal officer for affordable housing when PMAY was launched in 2015. I prepared a plan. Before that, providing housing to EWS and LIG was the sole responsibility of government agencies. And you know, the availability of land with the government agency was depleting every day. They don't have the land for providing the basic amenities to the citizens. That was the reason the slums were created in every big city. So we brought a policy that how to attract the private sector for creating the housing stock for EWS and LIG. Through incentives, some of the options were given where they were asked to build a definite number of EWS housing, and then that FSI was given to them as tradable FSI, which either he can use in his other projects, normal housing projects, or he can sell it. For selling that, we created a market. We said that this is a basic FSI. Anything beyond that, if somebody has entitlement on his land to construct beyond that FSI, so he has to pay that we call a premium FSI. 1.5 was the standard FSI, and beyond that was premium FSI. And against that premium, he can use his transferable development right on his project, or he can sell it to other developers. So that way the market was created for FSI, and I'm happy to share with you that I had a tenure of 7 years as a nodal officer for affordable housing, and we could construct more than 3 lakh dwelling units for EWS and LIG, and cost of that, even if it is sold by the private developer, 2.5 lakhs for EWS and 3.6 lakhs for HIG. And that was a very successful, this was pre-PMAY. We started in 2009. When PMAY came, we have dovetailed our scheme with PMAY so that the beneficiaries, they got the benefits of PMAY also. The subsidy, CLSS, whatever the verticals were there. So they used it. So you have to think out of the box. The equity will come when you think about every citizen. and involve every citizen in the planning from the beginning and then in the implementation. If the takers are not there and you have not involved the takers, you cannot implement your plan successfully. So, Samatolan is very important for the planning, and I appreciate that you have chosen this slogan or theme for this. It's a need of the hour. So with this, I'm not taking much time. Thank you very much. Thanks to the organizer for inviting me here. And I hope that I will get more profiles on ITPI website from all the students, and I request the faculty or teachers also to kindly share these information with us so that we can create a data bank for urban planners in India. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Of course, he has not only inspired, he has not only planned, he also given a job, and he said, like, guys, there is a platform for you where you can dream and make things better. Thank you very much, sir. So now I request Nagraj sir and Rohit sir to do the honors, please. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir. Also, Shanta Pahanuru sir has come, so that I welcome you. Thank you on behalf of all. Now, I would like to call upon stage Shri Rohit Punda sir, Administrator NITTE Educational Trust. Sir, of course, since 22 years all over India, this event is going to happen, and it's happening very successfully, and we are very privileged and honored to say NITTE Institute is hosting this event for this year. Sir, we would like to hear from you, sir, please.
Dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries sitting in the audience, Principal, Director of NITTE School of Architecture and Planning, Principal of NITTE Meenakshi, dear students, teachers, HODs and guests. Good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you this morning. I will just take a few minutes of your time. I have two themes to talk to you about, and the first is about NITTE Education Trust. NITTE Education Trust began in 1979. The Justice of the Supreme Court, K.S. Hegde, also ex-Speaker of Lok Sabha, when he retired and went home to the city of his wife, where his wife was born, birthplace, NITTE, which is just north of Mangalore, he quickly discovered that students were walking too far to go to school. And he decided that students must spend more time playing, more time studying, and doing other fun things, and not walking to school and walking back home. So in 1979, a school was constructed, and there were about 70 students that year, first year. That's 1979. If you fast forward to 2022, NITTE Education Trust has 40 plus institutions. One of them is a deemed to be university with a medical college, dental college, and other colleges related to medical sciences. There are other colleges outside the university. NITTE Meenakshi is one of them. And the philosophy of doing good for the student continues. It has strengthened year on year. And that's how many of our colleges are now preferred colleges for studying. This college, NITTE Meenakshi Institute of Technology, is, for example, area number 5 for innovation and 168 on NIRF. The Bangalore colleges, the dental college is number 6 in NIRF. The pharmacy college is number 45. NITTE University is 77. And NITTE School of Architecture in 6 years is established as a go-to place for architecture students. So I'm very happy to be part of this family, and I think it's something that you dear students from outside the city, Delhi and other places should know a little about Nitte Trust. The second thing I wish to talk to you about is this subject, this conference, this seminar which is happening. So last night, I thought I should do a little Googling about urban planning and related subjects, and I came across a paper titled Reform in Urban Planning by Niti Aayog, dated around October last year, 2021. And I was flipping through the various essays by people, and I came across an essay by Sri Rajiv Kumar. And he writes in the report, Reforms on Urban Planning, he says, none of our cities are in the top 50 livable cities in the world. That's as recently as 6 months ago. He says the key challenges for our city is efficiency and sustainability. I am optimistic and I'm hopeful that you, dear students, will do great work. And 20 years from now, if I was to open a report by Niti Aayog, I would read different things. That our cities are sustainable, that our cities are best in class, and that is our cities are model cities for other countries, other governments to model their cities on. I'm very hopeful that that will happen. I leave it to you, dear friends, to make it happen. Since the theme of this conference is planning and sustainability, I want to spend a few seconds, few moments on the word sustainability. Today, when we read the newspaper about global warming, about water pollution, about plastic bags, it's rather frightening and depressing. I came to Bangalore when I was a high school student, and I was living with a dear old uncle of mine, no longer, he's died, passed away many years ago. And during dinner, he said, dear boy, you will not use a fan in the night. And I was going to sleep in his room, right? And I'm from Mumbai, I was so used to sleeping under the fan, full speed, and I could not enjoy my dinner because I knew now, 10 minutes from now, I'll be in a room with this person and no fan. And to my surprise, it was a pleasant night. It was cool, it was comfortable. Now you fast forward to 2022, the outside temperature is 35 degrees, feels like 45. If you spend half an hour in the sun in a half sleeve shirt, this gets brown and this remains less brown or dark. So that's what Bangalore is like today. And that's why sustainability is important. As some of our leaders say, there is no plan B. This is our planet. We need to make it good. We need to make it better. And when I say we, I mean you and I. I'm not referring to our bureaucrats. I'm not referring to our government. I believe in the power of one. If you say 1 liter of water a day and a billion people in a country say 1 billion liters, 1 liter of water a day, you save a billion liters of water per day. If each of us stops using plastic bags, whatever the grade, thin, thick, medium, large, stop using plastic bags, you can imagine 1 billion out of 7 billion people stop using plastic bags, that's 8% of the world population, 12% of the world population. Correct? So it's for you and me to start making a change towards sustainability. We can't wait for the next World Convention, we can't wait for the next policy. Policy may come, implementation may be good, average, weak, I don't know. It's for you and me to do something about sustainability so that the cities we live in improve, so that Bangalore does not become 45 degrees 10 years from now and feels like 55. It won't be livable. In closing, I will wish you, students and teachers, all the very best. It's a chance to network, it's a chance to collaborate, and it's a chance to make 1 + 1 = 3. So I wish you the very best. I wish you 3 days of enriched discussions and also some degree of fun and entertainment. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much, sir. So I request Naga sir to do the honors to Rohit sir, please. A big round of applause, guys. Thank you very much, sir. I request Sri Srinivas Asher, Town and Country Planner, TCPU, to address the gathering.
Dignitaries on dais and dear participants, it's really privileged to be the part of NOS plan. And you must have, very curiously listened to Tara madam. It all started, when a budget speech was prepared. So all of a sudden I got a call from Tara madam that please provide input for budget speech. I said I have to spend some time in order to draft certain points on urban planning. So 2 or 3 minutes we prepared the draft and actually it got incorporated in the budget speech. Tomorrow I will be discussing in detail about what the budget has provided for urban planning and what sort of reforms we have to carry out. Secondly, I was also part of the Niti Aayog urban planning capacity reform. I hope everyone has downloaded the report. Have you all seen the report? What it says? I don't know. How many of you have actually gone through the report? So kindly just do the Google search urban planning capacity reforms and go through that. And we have we have made a lot of recommendations and the recommendations essentially is the the advisory group which they have made it. They are quite tough. I was making a presentation that how we are going to take action on each and every recommendation. The challenge is that town planning is a state subject. From Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, we will keep on writing to the state government, please adhere to the recruitment rules. What recruitment rules? Model recruitment rules which we have prepared for town and country planning organization. We says that for the post of assistant director or assistant town planner, the qualification should be B plan with 3 years experience or M plan. M plan there is no need for experience. But in spite of so many requests, states they come up with their own recruitment rules, and especially at the entry level position, you should not insist on the basic qualification. Just B plan or M plan. That's all. And recently, some of the states have taken initiative, and I am, myself and my team, we are continuously monitoring that how many states have actually incorporated B plan for the, as an eligible criteria for the assistant town planner post. Almost 15 states have that. But the problem comes the moment they announce the advertisement, and if you see the conditions, they will say, BR, B civil with M plan or B plan with M plan. So in these, the recruitment rules and prescribed conditions, we have to really work on it. Tomorrow I will be speaking on, urban planning reforms as well as, the recommendations of Niti Aayog and what action we are taking. And one of the agenda is also that how we are going to create national, town and country planning council. That is also one of the recommendations of the, Niti Aayog urban planning capacity reforms. We are working on that, but let us see what ministry takes the final decision. Ultimately, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, its domain is urban planning. So they will have to really work on this. So with this, I wish you each and everyone all the best and make this NOS plan a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So I request Rohit sir and Naga sir to do the honors to Srinivas sir. Guys, you have many inspires here. A big round of applause. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And in Kannada, there is a word called Gajagambirya. An elephant has its own ethics, own Gambirya. So, Nagas said he is not going to address the gathering, but his presence made us to feel that. So, I request On behalf of department, Gayatri ma'am to do the honors to Nagar sir, please. Thank you, sir. Your presence made us to feel still responsible and innovative. Thank you very much, sir. Now, ladies and gentlemen, NOS Plan President Abhishek Liup will address the gathering and I will thank all.
Thank you so much. And I'll not take much of your time. I know most of you guys are tired of listening and are just excited to attend the events that are going to start after this event. So I'll not take more of your time. Just I want to highlight two things that I have jotted down so that I wanted to share with you guys. First thing, as a student of Bachelor's of Planning, I want to say that, and that is not from because I'm just a student, right? At the end, I'm a student of planning, and there are so esteemed dignitaries on the stage. Professor Dr. P.S.N. Rao, Pradeep Kapoor sir, and Srinivas sir, our teachers, faculty members. But what I want to share is from my 4 years of experience of Bachelor's of Planning throughout the learning process that I have undergone. And I think many a times the dignitaries highlighted this point is how are planners different? What is that planners? And I think Thara ma'am also highlighted that planners should be wealth makers, right? How can we planners be wealth makers if people, general people don't actually understand what planners are, right? So if you want to actually understand what planners are, you have to understand what are the differences between other professionals and planners, right? So if you say architects, engineers, so they have a very specialized area, specialized sector there in which they operate. What specialization does a planner have? Can anyone tell me one specialization that a planner has and say that none of the other professions have that specialization?
Dynamic character.
Dynamic character. Architects don't have dynamic character. I believe there is not one specific character or one specific specialization that a planner brings apart from being comprehensive. Comprehensive is the only biggest, I believe, is the specialization that a planner has. Viewing situations, problems, urban planning related problems, economic development related problems through a comprehensive lens. So I believe, as per my experience, I might be wrong, I might be right, I don't know. But this is my experience of 4 years of learning of Bachelor's of Planning. And secondly, as I'm also representing this organization that is for the students, by the students. NOS Plan, National Organization of Students of Planning. And as a president, I am really, really glad and really honored to share the dice with these esteemed dignitaries. And I just want to say that, Gayatri, Dr. Gayatri shared what is NOS Plan and what are the aims of NOS Plan, right? Providing a platform to students to interact not just with yourself but the planning professionals, so that you also know that when you go out in the field, you have an experience, you have some knowledge, okay, this is what is happening on field, right? But I think there are other aims and objectives of NOS Plan that we should not forget. And one of the most biggest aim that I believe NOS Plan has is the upliftment of planning fraternity. That's the only upmost aim that we as an organization, we as an organization of students should have. Because I don't believe any other organization in India at a student level is working towards the betterment of planning education. And when we say that planners should have a voice, planners should have, say on decision making, they won't have until people actually know what a planner is and what are the specifications of a planner, what are the specializations of a planner. So I believe as a student body, as a student organization, it is our duty to ensure that this area of urban planning and this profession of urban planner, I also don't believe we should call ourselves urban planner. Why only urban planner? Don't we do rural development, rural planning? We are just planners, right? So I believe this specialization should be taken up by the students itself, because we are student, NOSPLAN has a student membership more than 1500 students. So I believe if each one student explains 10 people what actually a planner is, then I think more and more people will actually get to know what actually is a planner and what differences he or she has from other professions. Then only I believe planning as a profession will grow. So then finally, I want to thank all the dignitaries, especially Sri Pradeep Kapoor sir, Secretary General ITPI, and to be here with us. Other dignitaries, Srinivas sir, Chief Town Planner of TCPO, and all the esteemed dignitaries that were here with us to enlighten the students with their knowledge and experience. And finally, I want to thank my executive council members. Udit Narayan Mal, the General Secretary, with I think most of the students, most of the unit councils are contacting him for different things. I think he deserves a big round of applause, guys. Our editor-in-chief of NOSPLAN organization, Ritvika Dhara, with all the publications, all the magazines, all the newsletters, is being functioning under her. She deserves a big round of applause. My dear friend and my brother, Amanpreet Singh, the National Web Manager, under which all the social media handles, the public relations team and the web management team is being undertaken. I think Aman deserves a big round of applause. Jalaj Rana, the National Treasurer of NOSPLAN organization, I think most of the finances and everything is been taken under control by Jalaj, and will in future also he'll take care of all the activities of NOSPLAN similarly. So he deserves a big round of applause, guys. And finally, one of the main executive council member, the convention officer, Mr. Saud. He deserves a big round of applause for organizing this event and being a intermediator between the host college and the executive council. He has done a brilliant job, and hopefully all the coming events will be wonderful. So I want to thank the coordination team who is coordinating day and night with us, with the faculties, with the host college, with the delegates that are working so tirelessly and in order to make this event a great success. I think they deserve a big round of applause. And finally, the students who are actually making this event the greatest success. You guys deserve a big round of applause. And yeah, thank you so much for coming, and let the games begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek. Also, Dr. Manjri ma'am is here, so I request Gayatri ma'am to do the honors. A big round of applause. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your presence. Thank you. Well, as Abhishek said, it's not just the end, it's the beginning. So students has a bright future. They have everything they can change. They have that capability, ability, and that energy at that end too. So now, as I said, Samatolana 2022 is going to start, and it's going, you guys will rock it. So before that, I would like to call upon stage Rajeshwari to conclude this event.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಶ್ರೀ 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 ಪರಮಪೂಜ್ಯ ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ ಮಹಾಸ್ವಾಮಿಗಳ 115ನೇ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ದಿನದಂದು ಅವರ ಪಾದಗಳಿಗೆ ನಮನವನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಐ ವುಡ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಟು ಕನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ದ ಇವೆಂಟ್. So firstly, I would like to thank Professor N.R. Shetty sir, Honorable Chancellor, Central University of Karnataka, and Rohit Punja sir, Administrator. He provided us transportation, hospitality, food, And we thank you from the bottom of our heart, sir, for being with us throughout the journey of the event, and all the dignitaries for your presence made us our program very successful. And Dr. Gayatri, Aditya ma'am, Director Nitya SAPD, ma'am, we just can't say thank you, because we seen you how much you have worked for this event, and you've guided throughout the journey, and you've guided all the volunteers what to be done and what not to be done. And I would like to thank our North Planning organizers, Abhishek, new President, and Jalaj Rana, National Treasurer, and Yudit Naran, General Secretary, and Ritvika Dara, Editor-in-Chief, and Amanpreet Singh, Manager. Thank you all for this. And yeah, and also Muhammad Saud, Convention Officer, who leaded all the student volunteers. And even though in the exam time, guys, I really want to say this point, even though in the exam time, they worked the whole night, day and night for this event, and they're coordinated with all the colleges, and especially our dear lecturers who had been helping us throughout this journey, and also my dear students and friends from all the countries. Without you people, this event would have not been successful. Thank you all, and especially photographers and my dear friends, volunteers and security people, and cleaning staff and non-teaching staff. And also, I would like to thank MC, full smiling and energetic MC. And she has been leading all this event with smiling face. And she's not only doing MC, she's an engineer too. Yeah, I would like to thank you, ma'am. Yeah, that's it. Thank you all.
Thank you all. As I said, Samatolana 2022 is just the beginning. So a lot more to go, many excitements, lot more to learn. So this is going to be change your life. So before conclude this inaugural event, I request to conclude this event by our national anthem. I request everyone to be stand and give respect to our national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Jai Hind! Jai Hind! Bolo Bharat Mata ki! Jai! Thank you. Thanks to everyone, and thanks to all the dignitaries who made this event success. Thank you all.
Students, please lead to